to get from the AD to the interview area in such a short period of time. I didn't realize we'd cracked teleportation here in the LEC.
Impressive stuff. That new technology, new to the LEC.
It's strange that we're both here and not playing the Elden Ring DLC if we cracked teleportation. We actually just zoomed in beforehand.
Shocking.
I definitely didn't start a New Game Plus playthrough and forget that I'd done it.
That was funny. I hope you're all enjoying at home. But today we're here for some incredible League of Legends. We're here for week 3 of the LEC. Now, for viewers at home, you may be used to our regular split format where we have a 3-week regular season, but here in the Summer Split, we have 4 weeks. So we have this week 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, and then next week we will have another 2 days to round out our Summer Split before we go on a week break, and then we'll be back for 3 weeks of playoffs leading into our season finals. So a lot of LEC coming your way in the near future. Right now, a lot of these teams are fighting to secure both at the top of the standings, with BDS looking to get themselves 5 wins, which would be fantastic for them, lock a spot in playoffs, whereas Rogue kind of fighting for survival down at the bottom. We've got quite a few teams at the bottom end of our table, but the pressure is starting to mount for Rogue as they are, well, I wanted to say that they're getting close to finding these wins, but it feels like that we haven't really seen that many convincing games from this Rogue squad.
Yeah, more slow and steady without the steady part for Rogue in a lot of their games. Last week against G2, they did struggle. Obviously, the Tristana split push from Caps was a thorn in their side. As a reminder to everyone, 5 wins will guarantee you playoffs. 4 wins will guarantee you at least a tiebreaker for playoffs. Anything less than that, unlikely you're making it into playoffs. So Rogue really want to win out for the rest of the tournament. They need those 4 extra wins, sitting at 1 and 4. We are into draft for our first game of the day. BDS on the blue side have got rid of LeBlanc and Senna. Rogue have removed Ivern and Varus, and there's the Skarner ban. Although we're on 14-12, Skarner still a menace in the top lane, the jungle, and the supporting roles.
Yeah, the nerfs, I don't think that they were significant enough to knock this champion out of priority contention. But let's see what happens to Corki. Is this something that these teams still want to value? We usually don't see a lot of Corki from Nuke. I was just about to say, usually he's the Tristana, Taliyah type of player. Of course, they have already showcased that they're willing to flex the Taliyah into the jungle as well. The Ezreal, though, we were talking about it. Massive buffs.
Big buffs on 14-12.
Onto Ezreal. Double AD carry coming out from the side of Rogue as BDS already locking in their top side. So we already get confirmation that Nuke is going to be piloting the Taliyah with the Sejuani and the Renekton. A very strong top side of the map for BDS, as Rogue now looking to round out their draft. Will they choose to lock in their jungle here? They could consider something like the Maokai. Tristana Maokai is something that we often see as a pair. Alternatively, they could lock... Oh, they're going to lock in their support. They want to make sure they can get the Leona. Zoelys going to grab that. So a form of initiation. But now BDS can just look to remove some of those options. We'll see if they look to take away things like the Cassante, which can be a pretty safe matchup. Gragas we've also seen as an answer into Renekton, just because it's a safe tank top. Alternatively, they could look at junglers. Maybe they want to get rid of the Maokai. Maybe they want to get rid of... I'm thinking about other AP junglers, but after Markoon's Nidalee, I don't think they're going to head in that direction again. But we'll have to wait and see.
Lilia and Karthus are the other 2 APs that would immediately spring to mind. Lucian banned away by Rogue. Wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of the Nautilus as well. One of the better supports at catching a Tristana and an Ezreal, because the depth charge obviously can chase them even after they've jumped away. Maokai removed by BDS, but we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. Will Rogue continue along this AD carry skewed ban phase, with the Lucian already taken away? I will say the Taliyah can be flexed, even though we have seen only in the LEC, jungle and mid Taliyah. Leaper did play for Kwangdong Freets Taliyah AD carry or bot lane as another AP threat, but with the Tristana already taken away, unlikely to see that, because you need an AD in mid if you're going to balance things out.
The Alistair ban makes a lot of sense. We know that Alistair's a great matchup into the Leona. Rell may rise in priority. The Jinx has been left available for Ice, something that he's been prioritizing so far throughout the split. BDS thinking about their final ban right now. They're actually going to remove the brand. AP junglers, you can see that they were thinking about it, same that we were doing. What options would they go for? Markoon not really showcased anything like the Karthus or the Lilia, so they said, you know what, we'll just get rid of brand, why not? Maybe he's been preparing that ahead of this game. And so AP jungler is definitely going to be thinned out in terms of options.
There's the Karthus hover. I will say, you mentioned the Jinx for Ice. Jinx Emilio would actually be pretty disgusting here for BDS. Karthus locked in, but Jinx Emilio gives you safety because you just scale up. You already have the meaty front line in the Sejuani and the Renekton, and then if a solar flare ever hits, Melio's just standing right by you for a breath of life, right? You just get out of that CC. Jinx does a similar role, and we have... sorry, Zeri. Yeah, Zeri. Okay, well, guys, Rell is Labrov's most picked. This is his 5th game out of 6 on it. I'm not surprised, Vedi. I was just hoping for something a little bit different, you know?
So now for Rogue, they did go for the Karthus, so they do have that scaling potential carry in the jungle role. Will they do Gragas? Will they do Cassante in the top side of the map? What are they thinking in terms of safety? How much more frontline do they feel like they need? They've got a decent amount of poke, decent siege. Looks like that they are just going to go for more of a front line, so the Ornn going to come out as secondary engage or primary, depending on which one you want to leverage in these fights. But Rogue definitely have solid team fighting with the double AD carry, with the jungle carry threat of Markoon prioritizing his farm. BDS, though, I think have a great, strong top side of the map. They can really look to play through Adam with this Renekton, Taliyah, Sejuani trio. Dives are plenty as a possibility, but remember, you've got to play into an Ornn. And not the easiest champion to dive, especially once you pass that level 6 mark. Team fighting, I think, ultimately is what this game will come down to, though, as is often the case when you look at teams like BDS, and we'll see how Rogue can play around that, because I don't think their objective control or ability to set up around objectives has really been the strongest.
It definitely hasn't. We've seen a lot of their games just unable to get vision around those neutral objectives. I'm worried for Markoon as well in the early game. I'm not sure how many of his lanes are going to get early prio. Tristana, obviously, later on, very good at just getting pressure in the lanes, but Taliyah can match her in the early game after she gets that lost chapter. Zeri, Rell should be able to get the push into Ezreal and Leona as well, so it could be tricky for Markoon. Could see his jungle invaded quite often in the early game, and obviously on a Karthus, you're all about sneaking away camps, power farming yourself towards that level 6, and then having those impactful requiems as the game goes on. For BDS, 1 game away from playoffs, locking themselves in our top 8 once again. Consistently there over the last couple of years. For Rogue, a few games away from being eliminated. If they go 0-2 this weekend, I think it is the beginning of the end for them, and then a very long break. They wouldn't make it to our summer playoffs. With the championship points they have, they wouldn't make it to our season finals, and they will be looking forward to 2025. A very long time to be away from the game.
On the line, as we have 2 weeks remaining of the regular season here for summer. We're going to be jumping into our first game of the day, patch 14-12. As these teams continue their fight. BDS, bit of a mainstay here in the LEC. Saw the conversation happening on Reddit the other day about who the best mid laners in the league are right now, and I think many are surprised to be putting Nuke up there. I will say Nuke's had quite the incredible year overall. I remember already putting him in my top 3 All-Pro throughout the year. You got to remember that BDS finished 3rd in winter, 3rd in spring. Overall, they've had a very solid year, and I think that as a team, they're very good at finding a foundation that provides an element of consistency, especially in the best of 1 stages that we have. They, in the past, had a very tried and true formula, I would say, that was not very open to flexibility. But I would say that this split, they've really been trying a lot more. This is more traditional BDS style, what we're seeing right now, and maybe they just want to secure that playoff spot, right? The top 8. And against Rogue, a team that you're definitely favored against, maybe they want to sit there and say, if we try something here, and it doesn't work out, that could be a loss that we can't afford to have, right? Alternatively, it could be that if we do get a win, is it really effective practice as we assume the opponent is someone that we assume that we can beat, right? Like, there's a lot of variables, so it looks like they're just going to stick to try and true for now.
Also, it's a win to get playoffs, right? Like, sometimes you're just like, we just need this win, and then we're guaranteed. After that, we can go back to maybe those AP junglers for Sheo, maybe a little bit more experimentation here. Once again, they are looking towards team fighting. We'll see if they decide to play through Adam in the top side with Sheo starting on the bottom side of the map. That would be his usual path, currently at the Krugs. Markoon doing the same, but on the opposite side of the map. Obviously, red into Krugs, and then we'll go across towards his Razorbeaks. Neither of the junglers spotted out on any early vision that was put down, as Finn feels the wrong side of Adam's blade as he slices in, dices forward. Finn.
Wait,
oh,
what?
Okay.
Adam just gets a solo kill onto Finn at level 2.
Let's see.
That is not okay, Finn. You cannot be making mistakes like that.
Adam's mom actually this week was banned from League of Legends for 14 days for inting. She's been picking up League to try and learn more, about her son, right? But she's obviously a beginner, and some people have just reported her because she wasn't doing that well. So Adam is now trying to have Finn have the same thing happen to him by killing him this early on in the game. We'll see if Finn can bounce back or whether there'll be a 14-day suspension coming up.
That's a shocking mistake there from Finn, something that I would not expect from him. I feel like that he's been one of the more consistent elements of Rogue, so to see him end up getting solo killed by Adam at level 2, definitely a surprise for sure. In any case, we'll see how much that impacts the overall game. Small gold lead in favor of Adam for now. He's going to look to go back to base, has the TP to get back into lane. Markoon continuing with his full clear, looking to grab that early scuttle crab. You'll notice that he is on the opposite side of the map, playing around where he does have priority. We saw Comp being able to get that early push in the bot lane 2 versus 2, something that Ezreal can do. Like, you have solid power in those early levels, looking to take advantage of that. Goes back to base, picks up the cult. And in the same vein, we look at mid lane as well. Larssen with some great trades. He was able to get level 2 first, went for a bit of an all-in, forcing those pots already out from Nuke in the mid lane matchup. Taliyah can struggle with the wave clear against a Tristana in these early levels. So Markoon feeling relatively safe on the bot side of the map, secures the crab, and now he's going to go back to base.
Both the junglers just doing their first full clears and then backing away. As you say, Comp did get the push in the bot lane. Ice has stayed around, so he's got about a 10 CS lead, but there's a wave stacking up. Comp went back, got himself a cull. The Ezreal buffs, they can look minor on the surface. I think they're going to give him a lot more damage, and Comp, obviously, an Ezreal aficionado, played it a lot over his career. We'll see how much impact he can have on it here with those slight buffs to his abilities.
So we're kind of gearing up towards this first major objective. Dragon going to be spawning in about 30 seconds time. Along with the grubs, often we've been seeing teams swap towards topside. BDS are actually huge advocates of this. As Ice goes back to base, you imagine him to path towards bot after his first base, but it's very common for BDS to actually look for an early swap to be able to contest it. But with the amount of push that they have on the top side, especially after Adam gets that solo kill, maybe they don't feel like they need to. Maybe they can just contest it with their strong top side. Keep track of what they actually choose to do. Labrov doing a good job of holding the wave there to allow for Ice to actually catch that as well. Not too much lost on the other end. So overall, pretty slow and steady early game. Nothing too chaotic happening. We talked about how BDS do have a strong top side of the map. When I said that, I didn't expect a solo kill to come through at level 2. What I did expect was Adam to have push, and then for them to... Oh, Finn missing the knock up there. But
sometimes the trains don't come on time, Vedi.
Sometimes. Sometimes they miss the platform entirely.
What trains are you getting on? Is this like an anime reference? It's the multi-track drifting all over again.
But yeah, what I actually meant by that was Taliyah, obviously, once she gets level 6, which she's just ticked over towards now, has great roaming potential, and then with the Sejuani too, you have great setup to attack that top side of the map. Against an Ornn, you typically expect it to be a little harder, because once you get the level 6, you have that ultimate, which makes it very hard to dive, but it's an option, nonetheless, that BDS I kind of expected to try and take advantage of. Speaking of, there is Sheo hovering around, no mana available to Finn.
Larssen able to jump away from Labrov's engage. Labrov had been seen on a ward that he then control warded and cleared out, so Larssen kind of knew that something was amiss. Someone was in the area. You can see Sheo starting up these grubs. Going to be exchanged by Markoon and Zoelys for a dragon on the bottom side. Sheo going towards the Giants belt early means he's likely going Warmogs. Often we see Warmogs on supports these days as well, but I'd really like it here if Labrov went for Locket of the Iron Solari instead, mostly because of the Requiem, right? If Markoon is starting off fights with that ultimate, Warmogs can do a little work if you stay out of combat for 5 seconds, but if you have the Locket, you can negate a lot of that early damage before Rogue can actually find the follow-up engage.
Sure, potentially. We'll have to wait and see what direction they go. Sheo now level 6. Finn should be aware that he's hovering around this side of the map. Here we go.
Call of the Forge God. Stunned with the Glacial Prison. Sheo tanking the tower. Ruthless Predator in by Adams. Sheo still tanking. Finn flashes away. Sheo has about 250 HP and Larssen's on his way to try and stop him. Requiem coming down as well as Finn is able to survive. In the end, Adam will get him. Requiem doesn't find its mark. Markoon unable to get an assist, and now Larssen stuck between a croc and a rock thrower. Toph coming in to try and help Adam on the alligator, but it looks like they're just going to settle for the plate.
So a really nice knockup came through from Finn onto the initial dive from Sheo as Sheo used that Arcane Assault. Arctic Assault, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's the one.
Arctic Assault underneath the tower. He used his E to knock her up as she had tower aggro because she also threw out her W at the same time. So the initial play wasn't ideal for BDS. The initial execution didn't go quite the way they wanted, which means that it actually bought time for Larssen to roam up. I was surprised to see him moving way before Nuke. He actually sacrificed a wave and farm. And I say that, he's even ahead in CS for the time being, right? But he's able to then find a kill up towards the top side of the map. So he makes the dive overall even. He's able to catch that top wave as well. So overall, solid response from the side of Rogue. But this is what we talk about when we say BDS is strong side of the map and kind of what we expect.
And you can see the lead Adam's developed, right? 1.2k ahead, 8 minutes into the game. Those plates obviously helping him collect those money banks. Black Cleaver, his first item as well, before he's even got a pair of crocodile skin boots for his feet. Although that would be a bit weird, wouldn't it? Wearing the feet of some of your like compatriots, like the skin of them as your...
Potentially.
Yeah, I'm going to stop talking about that.
We're digging a hole for yourself there.
Yeah, I kind of got lost in that one, didn't I? Happens from time to time.
So we then kind of draw our attention towards the next grub spawn. About 2 minutes time. We talked about how BDS didn't really need to swap their bot lane up towards topside due to the pressure that Adam was able to exert. Often they'll do it, especially when they're playing things like the Jinx as well, when they're worried about her having a rough laning phase. They're able to move her out of that rough laning phase, use the numbers advantage on the top side as well to secure the grubs, and then maybe even get a plate for yourself in top lane. But so far this game, great stuff from Ice so far. 89 CS, 9 minutes in. As Labrov and Zoelys make their way towards mid. Sheo hovering around as well. Very common for these supports to help their mid laners, well, just help their mid laners cover, mitigate any potential dives, and also move in towards this bot crown.
It's a fight for the crab. Zenith played in. Labrov's going to jump away. Aftershock procced. Sheo! He glides in, hits the Glacier Prism into the seismic, toss back. Markoon is down. BDS find him. And Rogue thought they could take the fight, but it was a beautiful slide and glide in by Sheo.
Yeah, BDS was hesitant at start because they felt like that they didn't have enough damage. So you'll notice that Labrov, the moment that he gets CC'd by Zoelys, he actually just disengages from the fight, chooses not to commit. But they're basically just buying time. They're waiting for Ice to be able to rotate from bot to top, so they had that extra damage source to be able to fight against the Karthus. And they're able to find themselves a kill. 2k now, the gold lead for BDS. Just from great laning, good play from the top side of the map, and a punishment in the bot side river means that BDS now have a solid advantage here 10 minutes in.
And Grub's up in 20 seconds. Adam's going to TP to the top lane to try and force Finn away. Finn does still have the TP, so can back and come back to this. Markoon's on his way up here as well, but you can see Sheo and Labrov have teamed up towards that mid lane. They want to get prio, and then they'll want to play around these grubs. 6 for them, with Adam already winning top lane so hard, would just allow him to crack through that tower and then either continue to split push or be unleashed on the map.
BDS already posturing on the top side. Sheo going to be able to secure these grubs. Looks like it's going to be uncontested from the side of Rogue. Admittedly, this composition, you know, obviously Rogue does have a bit of... they get called boring. You know, They're not super proactive in the early game. They're not a team that tries to force a lot of plays. But with a composition like this, it seems like they're trying to play into that style, right? Deliberately trying to scale up, willing to concede some early deficits. And with a composition like this, you do always have that scaling element you have to keep in mind. Ezreal, I think, is a champion that can scale very well just because of his range and consistent poke, especially after the buffs he's gotten. He's only going to be doing more damage. Tristana is still this powerhouse that can act as a split pusher, is a scaling AD carry that also just does well the longer the game goes on. And then you've also got Markoon on this Karthus. So I'm not going to count Rogue out just yet. BDS are just leveraging the strengths that they have in this early game. And what they're going to need to do is force Rogue into these fights that they don't want to take this early on. They want to try and leverage the fact that they are stronger in the mid game. Their one-item spikes should feel better. And they want to try and find Rogue in those moments so they can take advantages of the strengths of their comps.
That's why it's good for Rogue that they were able to pick up that early dragon. Even though BDS have finished 6 grubs, it means that the dragon stacking is that 5 minutes delayed. So likely you will see Rogue back away from this unless BDS overextend.
But look at this, BDS, they got the top grubs. They've been able to reset and move towards the bot side to be able to contest the next one. They have great control, and it's very difficult for Rogue right now to be able to contest these objectives, especially because Adam with the push up top. Ooh, nice trade onto Larssen there, especially ahead of this dragon fight. He can kind of move whenever he wants. That's a lot committed there from Finn. I say that. Maybe Adam doesn't want to move right now. He's going to be like, you know what? Nope, that wasn't a great trade for me. I'm just going to back off. But, all right, so BDS going to be the ones to start this one off. Labrov going to deny.
Oh, flash, solar flare. Shield of Daybreak coming out as well. The Blast Cone will get them across the wall. TP coming in as well, but Larssen wants to join the fight. Zoelys, the burst of ball. Labrov walks away wounded, but is able to survive. Adam still trading in the top lane. The Requiem, though, a prayer sent to the heavens. It gets cancelled with the Weaver's Wall. Markoon just not safe as he went for that solitary prayer. Unanswered. And now Rogue are trying to fight 4v3, Ice dashing in.
Wait, Ice in a very awkward spot here, or is he?
Seismic shove, hits onto Larssen, still has the flash. BDS falling lower, the Drake down to 1,000, and it's an early smite! As Comp secures it, Rogue have 2 dragons on the board.
BDS don't lose a single member, but they're not able to secure the dragon. As you mentioned, Medic, an early smite came through. But that fight could have been way worse for BDS if it weren't for some quick thinking there from Nuke. There was a ward on the bot side Tri-Brush that gave vision of Markoon. So Nuke threw out the ultimate knowing that he could interrupt the channel and protect his support. He kept Labrov alive. Labrov sticks around for even longer. But again, an early smite comes through from Sheo and he's not able to secure the objective. A tense affair, but the good news for Rogue means that they can avoid dragons now for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
They can concede the 3rd one, they can concede the 4th one. They really don't need to be worried about it. They've put themselves up in a good position to be able to stall this game out longer, trying to rely on the scaling elements of their composition.
Now it's more about protecting your jungle, making sure that Markoon can still farm up, making sure there aren't any easy gank routes for BDS. You can see Comp and Zoelys trying to answer the push in this top lane. Rift Herald is up. BDS could use it to try and crack one of these turrets. Adam has a bit of free time with that tower in the bot lane, but as soon as Larssen goes dark on the map, Adam backs away, knowing he could be collapsed on. Larssen now seen in the mid lane. Adam walks back to the bot lane, knowing he has a bit more free time. Finn has finished his Warmogs, which will make him a little bit tankier, at least in respect to trading with Adam, because he can just back away and heal up. It's unlikely that the Renekton has enough burst damage to get through Finn in one fell swoop. Sheo, perhaps the Rift Herald was the eye was slightly wider on a previous patch or something as he dashes back and dashes forth to get it.
But this game is a great example of why BDS are so consistent during the regular season. Mainly because it showcases how well they maneuver around early objectives. They set a clear game plan with the composition that they had. They would prioritize topside grubs. And off the back of that, while they were able to contest one of the dragons, notice that they were even in a position to do so. And while the execution didn't quite go the way that they wanted, this fundamental early game style is something that they've been able to take advantage of throughout the year, especially when at the beginning of the year, teams are figuring out how they want to work together. In a regular season, a best of 1 format where there's so much variability, that level of consistency is something that they can take advantage of, and it can assure them, if nothing else, an early game advantage, which allows them to transition into a strong mid game. Sometimes the problem that we see is that BDS have relied on this strategy so much in the past that it's been their downfall, and teams have been able to figure them out as the season goes on because they don't really expand on the champion pools that much and they can become somewhat predictable. But often this style is enough, and again, this split they've tried to showcase a lot more variability in the different styles of approach that they have in the game, and I think that they've been doing a great job of expanding their repertoire, but it's good to show that they can always just lean back on what's worked for them in the past, and again, it showcases how good they are at it. Early towers secured in both top and bot, a lot of that gold funneled into Ice. Look at him now, he's been able to gain an 840 gold advantage over his AD carry lane opponent, and BDS have now built themselves a very steady base to enter the mid game with a 3k gold lead, 4 kills up, 6 scrubs, and now they're set up nicely with the first items already coming through, working towards those seconds for the next dragon in a minute and a half.
A lot of that consistency for BDS is coming from Adam and Nuke. We saw Nuke in the last fight stopping the Requiem coming out. Adam on his Renekton with a 1.5k gold lead, 1,000 lead for Ice as well, and for Sheo.
Notice that, 3 towers gone back to back, seamlessly done. Rogue had very few answers to that, just great map movements overall, very solid play coming out from BDS. In a position like this, you would naturally consider them the favorites to be able to close out a game, given that you've been able to secure all outer towers without losing any of your own. And we'll see if they're able to do that. How can they transition from this type of lead into a clean game win? We see the total gold. Ice, Adam, and Sheo all sitting at the top with Nuke a little bit behind. He's been roaming around the map a little bit, which means that has affected his farming and CS and his overall impact. But overall, I mean, in terms of impact, he has been having a great in terms of what he's been doing so far in the early game. So BDS in a great spot for the time being. Rogue continuing to try and scale We'll see if they can find some good fights to be able to swing the game in their favor. And that's all it really takes, right? A single good fight can completely mitigate this lead, and there's a lot of standing gold for Rogue to potentially grab for themselves.
And right now, BDS are kind of on the cusp of 2 items. You can see Randuin's and Warmog's finish for Sheo. Ice has the Runans and the Static Shiv, whereas Rogue are just slightly behind that, right? They've got 1.5 on Larssen and Comp. If they can win a fight, then they automatically accelerate themselves towards that too. There's a bounty on Adam's head and he flashes away. Glacial Prison gonna land in the bot lane as Larssen does the same. Uses his own flash to escape. You saw Labrov walking into that blue side jungle to try and get some vision down because Ocean's up in only a second, and with Markoon showing on the top side, BDS will get their first Drake of the game.
And we talked about it earlier, Rogue should feel comfortable conceding this. Instead, their priority is getting some gold for themselves, and they want to kill Adam.
Solar Flare in a little bit early there.
They're trying to keep him in lane.
Adam. I mean, they're definitely going to keep him in lane. The question is, can you survive with Labrov coming in as well? If you go for this dive now, Rogue call it off. Magnet Storm forward. Nuke looking for the seismic shove. And Rogue were in so many different minds about what they wanted to do. The Requiem comes out. Adam won't fall to it. True shot barrage. Adam just clipped his heels but didn't quite hit him.
Look in the river. The collapse coming in from Sheo and Ice. The flank is happening. Rogue have overstayed.
Sheo doesn't have that Glacial Prison. Ice, I think, is taking away the Razor Beaks. Wants a bit of chicken over a bit of blood. So at least looks for the second blade, but Labrov
but a great response from BDS. Not only did they get the dragon, but they had the TPs to counter gank top, and they stopped the cross map from happening from Rogue. On top of that, immediately look at the bot lane. Adam goes back to base. TP's bot wants to use the tempo advantage, knowing that Rogue haven't even had an opportunity to base. Only Comp is left to try and stop him, and he can't handle the croc. He is able to bully him away, but the damage is done on this tower. He should be able to protect it, but BDS,
but even while they were doing this, they lost mid lane tower.
Yeah, because Ice was moving up there. Just great map movements overall. BDS just kind of getting the better of Rogue. And again, they've now extended that gold lead to another 1,000. Great play by them. BDS, again, just reaffirming why they have been so consistent throughout this year.
And you can see what Rogue were looking for. It's like, okay, we know they're doing the dragon. We'll TP in, we'll invest a lot into overloading and trying to take Adam down.
100%.
But as soon as you see this TP, as soon as you see Labrov behind you, Rogue are in so many different minds about how they actually want to play the fight.
Yeah, I was about to say their first thought should have been to disengage, because getting a TP out is not a bad thing. And Markoon was starting to walk away, but he then walked back in, right? And that was the opportunity that Labrov saw to then find the engage.
And going in, Zenith's Blade Solar Flare connects. Adam stunned up with a Shield of Daybreak, but he slices away. Call of the Forge God from behind him. Finn takes the shutdown. The Conductor is here to play. Finn now has to get away from Sheo and Ice, who does have the Lightning Crash. Tries to dash away, but can't attack anyone because he's underneath the tower right now. Turns his attention to trying to take that turret down, but even with a Demolish Prot, can't do it. He falls. Top laner for top laner so far, but meanwhile, Nuke was pushing in bot. You're losing some damage on that tier 3. And although it's a 1-for-1 trade, Rogue get less out of it.
I mean, they're really trying hard to get something back. They're overstacking on the top side of the map, knowing the dragon isn't available. And yeah, as you said, it's simply a 1-for-1. This Renekton only continues to get stronger. And you look at this Zeri as well, on track to the third item, a 2k gold lead almost for Ice. We think back to how the laning phase, he'd already built up about a 10 CS lead, then he was funneled pretty much 3 towers, top to bot into mid, then he found a solo tower in mid lane as well, and he's just been playing around the map, picking up what farm he can, and now he can be what he needs to be for his team, which is the primary carry. BDS, an overall very clean game from them so far. Rogue struggling to find any form of fight. 2 items now finished for Larssen, same for Comp, but Markoon is having his jungle stolen away. He is not the type of hyper-fed Karthus you like to see, who's at something like, I don't know, 240 CS at 21 minutes. But again, I kind of have to say it, there's always the possibility that Rogue find a fight. That single fight is all it takes. But at this point, it feels like that it's just a matter of time before BDS close things out.
I feel like we're almost getting to 2-fight territory, right? Like 1 fight maybe around a Baron could be enough, but you're 3 items to 2 items on AD carries. There's a 2k gold lead there. Top lane, there's a 1.5k lead. In the jungle, there's a 1.7k lead. Yes, if you pick up Ice and Nuke's bounty, that's an extra 400 gold on the top. I just think like we've kind of gone from the 1 fight gets you back into it to 1 fight helps you delay a little bit more.
I mean, 1 fight gives you a chance.
Yeah.
You know, if you find the fight, then you have a chance. which is kind of what you're looking for at this point, you know, because if the choices are death or a chance, usually people take the chance.
In League of Legends, very valid.
Yeah.
In Elden Ring, I found a lot of fights that I don't have a chance in, I'm going to be honest.
Comp uses the E.
Tries to dash away. Labrov overextending a little bit, has to flash from the solo player. Renekton coming down as well, the True Shot Barrage has hit, and Finn takes the kill again. Sheo flashing away. Adam not here with his team.
So a blunder from BDS. They overstep in mid, they try to collapse onto Comp. If nothing else, Labrov was trying to get his cleanse or his flash, but he doesn't get either. He ends up almost getting collapsed on, and Rogue find themselves a kill. These type of mistakes, Rogue, I mean, they're very open to, you know? Keep handing them over, and there's a real world where they can turn this game around. But the next dragon spawning, because of the position of the Drakes, I think Rogue should not try and contest it. Their priority should be to try and cross-map and nuke. Gonna shut that down immediately. Immediately goes to catch that top wave. And while the dragon spawns, BDS is strong enough that they don't feel too concerned about spreading their resources thin.
We are getting to that portion of the game where ornaments become more of a real thing. You can see the Warmonk's armor already upgraded by Finn on himself. He gets to 14, he'll have another one of those to dish out. Markoon still only sitting at 1.5 items, but if he can get to 2 on this Karthus, he'll be dealing a lot more damage. It's kind of self-explanatory, but it's true. I do like the fact that Labrov went for the Locket of the Iron Solari first. Great supporting minds think alike here. Instead of going for the Warmonks, just wants to negate more of that Karthus damage. But even as BDS took the Drake in the bottom side, Rogue weren't able to get really any vision control over their red side. They only have this control ward where Comp and Zoelys stand, and Sheo's going to clear out that little far side alteration and smite away the red buff.
I don't know why Markoon didn't just smite it in any case. The topside jungle being completely dominated by BDS. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to. Push in mid, push in top, play through 2 lanes. Bot wave is also pushed in. And now they can start sieging onto this tower. Oh, knockback. Good buffer, though, from Larssen.
Zoelys going in onto Sheo, but he's so tanky. The tower's still standing for now. Sheo down to about half HP. Adam looking for the flank. Labrov trying to get the engagement isn't going wide. Markoon has no mana here, though. Even though he's able to dodge away from the seismic shot, he's going to have to retreat to the safety of the fountain as Zoelys goes in and BDS collapse on him immediately.
HP is still very high for BDS, and with the red buff, they might turn their attention to the Baron, but they get the objective that they wanted, which is the top tier 2. Rogue found wanting as they weren't able to find it. And the Baron is now going to be started off.
And you see the power of Warmogs for Sheo as well. He was half HP at the end of that fight, now back up to full. Rogue looking to collapse. Adam keeping Markoon away as Markoon flashes across the wall. The Baron down to 8,000. Larssen and Comp trying to step in. The flank position from Labrov, not enough yet, but he does have that Magnet Storm. Core to the Forge God going out. Finn looking for the lock of True Shot Barrage as well. With the Baron already secured by BDS. The Magnet Storm on the back line as well as Sheo dashes in and lightning crashes down. BDS have already found 2, make it 3 in the fight. The Requiem does nothing as BDS still have all 5 members alive. Zoelys flashing in with a shield of Daybreak. And Comp will find 1, but can he escape the clutches of Adam? He can't. Ice on a rampage. Zoelys caught unawares by Ice, who got an unofficial quadra in the fight. And BDS with the Baron will open up the base.
It's a clean ace, and it's a clean game from BDS. Outside of that single blunder in the mid lane, it's been nothing but domination as BDS look to secure a spot in playoffs.
Unlikely to end the game here. Inhibitor Tower and Inhib, I think, will be their goals. I don't know if Adam will stay around with the respawns coming out. It would be greedy to do so, but I've seen Adam be greedy once or twice in the past.
5k already off the back of that Baron. We look back at the replay, and remember, it starts off with this tower. BDS don't actually reset. Nuke takes a decent amount of damage, but the engage is there to try and defend the tower. They just don't have the damage to get through Sheo. And then Zoelys, he goes for a re-engage here, which results in his own demise. Knowing that they have the numbers advantage, BDS turn their attention towards the Baron. So after this support player drops, and Markoon's forced to go back to base, they immediately turn towards the Baron. And it's this fight. Adam doing a great job of getting the flash out early from Markoon. He has no real way to get into the pit. Finn tries to get a knockup, but he stuns himself. The True Shot Barrage not quite able to get the steal. And then this really nice engage from Labrov just sets up nicely. The ulti comboed along with from Ice with Adam to lock down the carries. Means that it's an easy teamfight win for BDS. Very well played by them. And they should be happy because this has been a very clean game overall. And with 5 wins, as we said, that will lock you a spot in our top 8. and you will be moving on to the best of threes.
Still a lot to fight for, of course, seeding into those playoffs. You want to get away from some of the top dogs as much as you can. Weaver's Wall in, Comp cleansing away the Glacial Prison. Just one cannon minion here to help BDS on the push. Super minions in the mid lane though. Adam will dash across towards them to put that Baron buff down. The next wave coming in about 10 seconds time as Markoon gets the wrong end of an Ultra Shock laser. Adam heals up with the Cold of Meek. Finn's looking to collapse onto him as Sheo steps forward, forcing Zoelys away. Solar Flare of a possibility here. Wave in mid lane, still a bit of a problem. There's the Solar Flare. Call of the Fortune coming out as well as they try and lock down Nuke. The Seraphs, the Locket, the shielding's enough. And Nuke will not fall. The Requiem comes down. Nuke might die to Malignant's Leandries. In the end, he does. A 4-for-2 exchange in favor of BDS. Only Larssen remains to stop and see his base fall in tatters. He picks up a GA, but I'm not sure there's any angel that can guard you from this. BDS looking to lock their spot in playoffs, and Rogue still looking for their second win of summer. He'll survive for a while on the fountain, but in the end, it won't amount to much. BDS are going to playoffs.
Said it before and I'll say it again, a clean game from start to finish from BDS. Very little to criticize. There was one overstep in the mid lane where they tried to get summoners out from comp, but aside from that, Adam with a solo kill at level 2, Ice playing the map beautifully, being funneled all those resources, Sheo with great objective control. Overall, really impressive stuff. Player of the game, you can vote now at LEC on X, Sheo, Ice, Labrov, you guys can decide. All great options, and overall a great game from BDS. They should be very happy with how that one played out. That's the type of game that you'd want to see from a top team versus a bottom team to just cement the gap between you, right? And that's pretty much what we showed, a very clear gap between BDS at the top of the standings and the bottom of the standings.
And it's going to be a very clear gap between us and the next time you listen to us, because we're going to a short break, but we'll be right back after this.
Red Bull gives you wings.